Hi, and welcome to our series of equality and diversity videos. The purpose of these videos is to support learners who are taking the Level 2 qualification in equality and diversity, or just to help you if you decide that you want to learn a little bit more about equality and diversity. One of the things about equality and diversity as a subject is that a lot of people approach it with the idea that it's going to be politically correct and that there's something wrong with equality and diversity, and this is not the case, as hopefully these videos will point out to you. Equality and diversity is an interesting subject, and I hope you enjoy the presentations that we have prepared for you. So, let's begin. Equality, what does it really mean? Are we all the same? Well, no, we're not all the same. We're all very, very different. Equality, what does it mean? Are we all the same? Well, no, we're actually very, very different. However, we should all be treated the same. Regardless of any differences that we may have between us, we should all have the same treatment, which is very, very important. It doesn't mean, the term equality doesn't mean that we are all the same. What it means is that we should have equal opportunity. This is very, very important. It's a very key term. Equal opportunity means within the UK that everybody should be valued as an individual. We should be valued for our differences, if you like. We should have the same opportunity to increase our life chances. This is really what it's about. There are some areas where equality is very, very important. Equality of opportunity. Start again. Now, there are many areas where equality of opportunity is very, very important, and here are some of them. First off, we have equality in employment. The fact of the matter is there should be no job that you are barred from if you are qualified to do it, and if you are acceptable to the employer, obviously. Criminal records and stuff like that, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Everybody should be able to get the same access to employment, regardless of whether you're black or white, rich or poor, whatever your faith is, whatever your gender is, whatever your sexuality is. We are striving for equality in employment. Likewise, we should be striving for equality in housing. Now, this is difficult within the UK because we are rapidly becoming a nation of haves and have-nots. Many people can't get on the housing ladder, even with the credit crunch and the lowering house prices. And so as a direct result, there is a massive issue regarding housing in the UK. We should all have access to affordable, quality housing. But there are many people who are living in housing conditions that, well, are disgusting considering we are the fourth richest country in the world. We should all have equality in housing. Considering that we are the fourth richest country in the world, there are still many people in the UK today who are living in substandard housing. We should all have access to decent housing provision, regardless of where we're from or what our background is. We should all have access to social benefits and welfare if we need it. Consider, if you will, the idea that if you had problems, if you had difficulties in terms of meeting your living requirements, you should be able to get access to benefits regardless of your social conditions. We should all have access to healthcare, equal access to healthcare. Regardless of where you're from, you should be able to get good quality treatment. And I think probably this is most important, access to education. Regardless of your background, we should be striving so that everybody has equality in education, and that it is not just the rich and the wealthy who get the better educations. Everybody should have the same standard, the same level. Now, diversity means different or varied, and we are all different in a variety of ways. We have a group of children here, as you can see. They're all different, and it's not just because of how they look or where they're from, their racial backgrounds. They're different in many other ways as well. It'd be a terribly boring world if we were actually all the same. So, let us discuss some of the differences that we can have. We've got some here. Ethnicity, where we're from, our age, our faith, social class, our political viewpoint separates us in many cases, our taste in music, sexual orientation and diet, body shape and skin colour, pastimes and disability, hair colour even, and lifestyle. And there are many, many others. Things that make us different from each other. However, there are four main social categories that are used for classification within the UK. When in the UK we have polls and we kind of look at gathering evidence on the electorate and on the people who live here, there are four categories that we're really used to put us into, and they are age. We're categorised by age. We're categorised by our class. That's our social class. We are categorised by our ethnic group, and finally, by our sex. Notice that I say gender, it's sex. These are the four main categories that are used in the UK. Now, social categories do have negative effects. Those four categories that we've just discussed, is that a good method of kind of deciding how we all are? Because we're all individuals. Negative effects. Well, they hide our individual identities. If I'm going to be judged just on my age, it's missing out all the other stuff that I've got going on, surely. They can make us seem the same when we are, in fact, very different. For example, I'm 36. If you put me in a room with a bunch of 36-year-olds, we would all be very, very different. And only our age would be the same. And that's a really minor thing to look at us from, isn't it? And they can lead people to make assumptions about us. If I was a teenager, there are some roaring assumptions about what teenagers actually are and the kind of behaviour that teenagers get up to. And it's not fair, simply because not all teenagers do that. The only thing they really have in common is their age. So these are some very serious disadvantages of using social categories. Now, having a diverse society, there's a lot of benefits to be had from it. Many people complain about diversity, where we should actually be celebrating our differences rather than complaining about them. Diversity brings in new ideas. You get people from different cultures all coming together, all bringing new ideas about the way we should live and the way we interact, and just sharing our journey through life. We have new experiences. Example is that curry is the nation's favourite dish, but it wouldn't have been had we not exposed ourselves and been exposed to other cultures. It breeds greater tolerance. The more people that we come into contact with from different cultures, the more experience we have with them, and therefore the greater our tolerance will be, where we'll understand why they choose to live the way they live, and then with us. And this brings greater understanding. If we can understand each other, if we can understand why we do the things that we do, that leads to tolerance and it leads to a more peaceful society. It also, in terms of business, gives us more opportunities to sell. If we just had if we were a monoculture and we just had one group in society that we were pitching to, we'd not be anywhere near as profitable as if we're delivering to everybody. So, new products, new market opportunities as a result of a diverse society.